So Joe, we'll let you take over and we'll talk sensors.
Excellent. Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Judy. I appreciate you as we are coming down the stretch, and there's going to be a heavy dose of drag racing here in the last hour and a half. Trensor on board. I see we've got Zach. We've got Todd on board. We've got Kris on board. Of course, I know Todd from the NHRA world out there working on those 12,000 horsepower nitromethane burning dragsters, which are amazing, which makes me think that the sensor must be able to hold up. But guys, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I can't wait to hear what you've got to offer. Zach, Kris, of course, Todd, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Joe.
How you doing?
I am great. I am great. And, I spoke with Todd a little bit earlier. Like, guys, feel free to go down whatever road you want to go as you educate us. But I want to know, the new sensor on the block. You guys are trying to carve out your own world here. Of course, Todd has got his business out there. I know you guys had a background in race pack, but let's talk a little bit about these sensors and why are they the new sensor on the block? What's that mean?
Zach?
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Zach Gibson. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I came down here a couple of years ago, and I was actually employed by Todd at RacePack. So I got a little bit of the drag racing experience working a couple of years over there, which allowed us to see what the customer needs and wants are. And when I came over to Trensor, where we manage and build sensors, it allowed me to bring my knowledge in and say, hey, there's a need of these sensors on these high performance vehicles. So with new sensors on the block, we really mean that you can put these sensors directly to the block and it's going to survive. So most of the competitor sensors out there, as most people know, you cannot mount this directly to a top fuel engine. The vibrations of a 12,000 horsepower engine is just going to kill the sensor. One thing that we did a little bit different is there's no wire bonding in our sensors. So it is a direct solid state, which allows us to mount the sensor directly to the engine block.
Yeah, and I'll introduce myself. I'm Kris Gilman, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Trensor and 3FP. And, just taking a step back for a second, Trensor, when we originally set out back in 2008, 2009, we had one mission and one primary goal, and that was to be an OEM supplier. And we've been quite successful in that endeavor. So we're a leading OEM supplier, both here with the Detroit Big Three, as well as globally around the world. We have a blossoming aftermarket business, which is comprised of two business units. Primary business unit has been replacement parts and traditional aftermarket. And then, we've been working for a few years with R&D on developing what became 3FP, which is fit, form, function, performance. And we launched 3FP and these 7 initial performance racing pressure sensor SKUs back in Q1. And that's kind of how we got introduced to Todd along the way. And so Todd has been an invaluable resource for us, helping us through the product development phase, doing on-vehicle validation testing. And, it's been a whirlwind, but we've, been gaining traction quickly, and it's been really exciting.
And thank you for that, Kris. We've got Todd off mute. Todd, welcome.
Well, it's pretty bad when the guy that does tech support has a tech issue, but no. What are you going to do? I'm a top fuel driver, so I've got very, very limited range apparently. So I just very simple, driving a straight line kind of guy.
But you're out there, and they just said that your work as far as product development has been invaluable. So let's speak on that a little bit. The torture chamber, that is the 12,000 horsepower nitro engine. Put it
well. Yeah, and I mean we've seen that firsthand. I mean, this is exactly this. There's such an extreme application when you're dealing with the horsepower, the torque, the vibration, everything. And so to have these sensors be developed in conjunction with so many of these teams, tested. I mean, they did rigorous testing across not just our car, but a variety of cars, and not just on top fuel cars. We did it on we've run these on tractor pullers, like some mini rods, some unlimiteds are running them. And obviously those things with 4 or 5 engines, those things will vibrate too. And they've done exceptionally well. So we've really put them to the test, and they've excelled. You know, touching back on things, you know, I was with RacePack for 13 years. That's where Zach and I met. I have a computer science background and a racing background, so familiar with dealing with product failures and sensor failures. And so when we put the 3FP sensor in that same environment where we'd seen others fail, it excelled. I've got a variety of success stories from people that we were just routinely replacing oil pressure sensors, boost pressure sensors, and we put the 3FP product in its place and the problems went away.
Yeah, and you know, if you know Todd, you know he's gonna hate what I'm about to say because he's so humble, but he's been such a great resource for us. If you've ever seen him in his element at an NHRA race, you know how much of a true professional he is, and it's been a lot of fun. More importantly, I think we've had a blast, and you know, our sensors have performed excellently, and the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive. Haven't had any issues through all the different classes we've tested these things in, and you know, our customers are happy, and we've partnered with PDS to be a distributor for Trensor and 3FP. And yeah, like I said, we're having a lot of fun and we're bringing a lot of value to our customers.
Absolutely. Kris, do you want to touch a little bit on Trensor's backstory and heritage?
Yeah, no, I think I touched a little bit, you know, like I said, we're you know, we set out originally to be an OEM supplier. And, you know, that was kind of the initial goal. And, you know, from there we've blossomed and, you know, set, you know, 5 and 10 year plans down the road. And, you know, the aftermarket has become incredibly important to us, both with replacement parts as well as performance racing. So we're going to be at Performance Racing PRI next week. And we're really excited to meet with existing customers and, you know, prospects and, you know, just kind of it's seeing what's going on out there in the industry, what's new, and you know how we can bring value. And like Zach said, you know, we're new sensors on the block. These are solid state devices. You can mount them directly to the engine block, and you know, yeah, our customers are really excited.
Let's dig down a little bit more on that in terms of who are the potential clientele out there. Are you making a great sensor for anyone and using Top Fuel as an example to showcase it? Or are you making a Top Fuel sensor? I know that they are rapidly becoming a standard in the industry, but I would like to hear about, you know, Todd just mentioned tractor pulling. There's a lot of applications. Let's tick off some of those so people out there can get curious.
Absolutely. So the big thing we wanted to make sure is that these sensors were going to be robust and be able to live in any environment. So the first thing we wanted to do was obviously build the sensor and then test it on the most violent application that we could find, which was Top Fuel. With that being said, once we secured that it would work and survive in that environment, this sensor can be used in any type of racing class. It is not limited just to Top Fuel. If you wanted to run it on your super street, that is perfectly fine, or even your stock car. There is no issues with running these sensors. The big thing is they are compatible with most data acquisition systems, as long as they have the same connector and you're able to program the sensor settings, which is a very standard 0.5 volts will equal 0, and then 4.5 volts will equal the max range of the sensor. If you have those drop-down options or plug-in options such as RacePack or Holley or Haltech, then it will be a very simple plug-and-play replacement for your sensors that you're currently using.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, and that was going to be my next question about the data acquisition systems, because there's so many different systems out there that are like full tilt and some that do a little bit less, but you are compatible with most.
Correct. We are compatible with most of the data acquisition systems out there. The big thing is as long as it has the same connector, we're able to plug into the system, and you are able to use either a standard 0.5 voltage range to 4.5, or you're able to type it in. We would have no issues interfacing with that aftermarket ECU or data acquisition system.
Excellent. And, you know, 3FP being like the performance brand on the market. Yeah, I think you're absolutely in the right place. And data acquisition, you know, Todd can speak on this, but without data acquisition, nobody can go fast. It's just like guess, right? Nobody likes to guess when you got a 100 engine.
That used to be one of our you know, lines we used to use at RacePack was, you know, just stop guessing and start winning, because that was the whole thing. Well, I think it went out and did this. Well, I think it went out and did that, you know, and you know, I speak from personal experience. Like when people say, well, I know exactly what the oil pressure is, I got an oil pressure gauge in the car. Okay, well, that's great. But, you know, when you're at 1,000 feet or whatever, you're busy trying not to crash your race car as you're going 200 or 300 miles per hour, or maybe you're going 95 miles per hour, whatever. You're not looking at an oil pressure gauge. So you want to come back later on and download the data and take a look at, you know, what was your engine RPM, what was your oil pressure, what was your fuel pressure, things of that nature. So data acquisition has become increasingly important, not just in drag racing or pulling, but like I said, in closed course, in a variety of sports that we're involved with, including, you know, drag boats and circuit boats and a variety of you know, sports in general, that you know, just anything you can do to remove the guesswork in anything, whether it's motorsports, whether it's in your business, so long as you can measure it and evaluate it, you can always improve on it. And that's paramount in a sport like drag racing.
I want to spend a little more time getting to know Todd and obviously talk a little bit about what goes on out there. But let's make sure everybody knows where to go to find out more information and how the product is purchased, right? Because it's not necessarily something to wait till the very end. People pop in and out here. You know, if you're looking for a couple of sensors, that's one thing. If you're looking for pallets of sensors, that's another thing. How do you guys break up that flow? Talk a little bit about it and give us an action step before we get too far into this.
Yeah, so typically if it's a large purchase, such as, you know, 200, 1,000, 1,500 pieces, you know, you could email me directly. And we can discuss what we would do on that nature and start supplying the product. I'm not sure if Kris mentioned, but what we like to do is partner with companies like our distributors and such. And we will hold 6 months inventory to guarantee that we will not miss any shipment. So whatever happens, we will always be able to supply them our product. For the people that want to purchase, you know, 1, 2, or 3 units, I think it would be best if that you went through Performance Data Systems. That way you could get an entire data acquisition system along with the sensors. Kris, do you want to touch a little bit more on that?
Yeah, no, I think Zach hit the high points. You know, we have had 100% order fill through the pandemic, from OEM to replacement parts to 3FP. We've never missed a shipment. We've never been late. And part of that is because we've had just a stockpile of microchips. And I'm sure you guys have heard about the semiconductor shortage. We actually purchased a 3 to 4 year supply right before the pandemic hit. And some of that, you know, a lot of that's due to our purchasing team and manufacturing team and, you know, supply chain management. And we got a little bit lucky too, to be honest. And it was unprecedented and it was a terrible time. And even after the pandemic, the constraints on logistics and everything else has been crazy. But we're proud of that record and we've won some awards for that in the aftermarket recently. And so we would love to partner with customers and so would PDS. So depending on your requirements and your needs, you know, we'll get you set up with the right path with us. And, you know, we love to partner with customers. Like Zach said, we call them customer partners. So, you know, we'll keep a dedicated inventory on hand here in California or perhaps locally, depending on the requirements. So, we're excited to meet you. So reach out to us and we'll get you squared away.
Oh, that's great that you were able to navigate the supply chain that way. And availability is a huge part of this. Like, what's the point of having something if you can't get it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can get it, like you said, the large volume ones are available through Trensor. You can go to shop3fp.trensor.com, or you can go to our website for the smaller quantities, as I said, which is racepds.com, because nobody likes typing performanceDataSystems.com. And then if you select sensors, the 3FP sensor is the very first sensor that comes up.
And Todd, you're out there at the NHRA. Of course, it's not all top fuel.
No.
Data systems are on, Zach mentioned super street cars, right? 1090 cars. You got to know what your car just did if you're going to run that number. So, but those are all NHRA like class style cars. What about weekend warriors out there, the bracket guys? Like how, you know, run the gamut of who this is beneficial to and who the potential customer is. And does it work up and down from, you know, hot rodder that wants to know what's going on to his engine to obviously top fuel?
Yeah. So on the local level, like the people that go and do the weekly bracket racer thing, anytime you're up against some type of a dial-in index, consistency is key. So you got to make sure that your fuel pressure is the same, your brake pressure is the same, oil pressure is the same. There's other things, dealing with temperatures and stuff, and that comes back to the data acquisition conversation. Because if you're not measuring that, if you're, I get a lot of times people at the races are like, I don't know why it dropped off, 260 foot or something like that. And you go back and you have to take a look at the data and overlay multiple runs. And we do the exact same thing, whatever they're trying to search for. I had one guy that was having a problem with the motor going lean, couldn't figure it out. Turns out it was a fuel delivery issue, but it was a fuel delivery issue because the car was hiking the front wheels too high. And we couldn't see that until, take a look at the G meter, take a look at shock travels, and realize, well, the pump pressure is there, but the fuel pressure is not there because the floats are at an odd angle, and this thing needs to have the floats readjusted if you're going to yank the wheels up or tie the rear end down so it doesn't keep doing that. And that way he had more consistent launches, had more consistent performance, and took home more trophies at the end of the weekend. So, but yeah, it runs the gamut from the weekend warrior to the top fuel racer. I was on the phone earlier with a guy running a top fuel motorcycle that we run these sensors on. And then we've got street bikes that come in and they want to monitor certain things, just again, for the sake of consistency, make the driver better, make the vehicle better, make it more consistent so you can win on race day.
Zach, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, a lot of what I would call weekend warriors, or people that are just street racing in a sense with maybe a stock car or something that is slightly souped up, are able to use these sensors. It doesn't just limit to if you're on the track. You can use these sensors in your everyday car if you wanted to. We are compatible with gauge clusters as well. So it's not just a data acquisition system that you're limited to, right? As long as you have the connector type and you're able to adjust the settings, so that way your system can read our sensor or read the values that it's sending, you'll have no issues running these sensors.
Kris?
Yeah, no, I think these guys nailed it. I don't really have anything else to add. So yeah, we've got all kinds of different customers and all kinds of different anecdotal evidence. Yeah, I think Todd touched on one of the most kind of exciting ones. So yeah, we're kind of getting traction and people are giving us a chance, and we're bringing value. And maybe I should touch on pricing a little bit.
Please, I was just going to go there.
Yeah.
Relationship to the competition. I hate to say it, but that's part of the math when people think about these things.
It is, yeah. And pricing's kind of an interesting thing because, we took a hard look at the pricing in the market, and, there's some competitive product out there that's priced cheaper. And it, is equivalent to the quality in a lot of ways. So we have a premium product. It's manufactured on OEM production lines to OEM standards. We have patented technology that's deployed in the sensors. And so we command a premium price. However, we wanted to be competitively priced, and we wanted to offer our distributors a healthy margin that they can go and be successful with their customers. So everybody's happy. And like I said, everyone's all the feedback, both pricing, quality, technology, et cetera, has been very, very positive. And, we're getting traction, like I'd mentioned. So yeah, we're excited. We just launched this thing, 3FP at least, back in the beginning of this year. So it's been really fun to kind of see the fruit of our hard work and our team's hard work. And we got a lot of team members that aren't on this call that deserve a lot of praise for all the work that's gone into it. And obviously the people behind Todd, he's got an amazing team over there too.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Todd, guys, because this guy out there, he's working his tail off. He's got a top fuel car, all of these things. But he keeps a lot of these cars running. Todd, talk about performance data systems and what you do out there, and being involved with so many of these top fuel teams. It's my understanding that the 3FP sensors have been adopted by many of the top teams already in a very short amount of time. Tell us a little bit about your company. What do you do, and how you keep some of these teams running?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, I was with RacePack for about 13 years. We launched performance data systems back in 2019 after RacePack had been sold and they closed the California office here. So I teamed up with Jeff Green, who was RacePac's engineer for 30 years. And so we decided we would be the sales and support team on site, because that was something that we were concerned might be affected by a corporate buyout like they went through. So and so we continue to go to all the events, all the NHRA events. We try to make as many regional events and boat racing I touched on, pulling events, as wherever data acquisition systems are, not just the RacePac but all data acquisition systems, because they all suffer the common problems of a cut cable or a burned cable or a damaged sensor or things like that. And a lot of times it's been my experience that people that don't understand, like there's this black box that records data on the car or on the vehicle that they're in, and the minute it doesn't work exactly as they expect it to, they go into full-on panic mode. And we try to be that voice of reason, that calming voice, and we've always joked about being the additional crew member, the 12th man on the team or whatever it is, comes in and tries to help the teams deal with a software issue or a hardware issue if they've had a sensor fail, or because when sensors fail or when cables fail, there's different signatures that we've seen. We always joke that we're like the farmer's insurance guys, right? We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. In my case, I've burned a thing or two. I mean, being 300 miles an hour on fire in a funny car is not a lot of fun, but you come back and you're looking at trying to make sense of the data and what failed and where's the failure point. Why, a burned cable will give you this signature, this. And so we try to help that, because we've got the experience both in providing support for so many years, and because we've run our own cars. Jeff himself actually comes from a racing family as well, having his family was into drag boats and nostalgia cars and jet cars. So the two of us together, we've got a combined almost 50 years of racing experience just in that alone. And like I said, we've dealt with everything from data loggers that have been pitched out of cars on the ground that have been in bad accidents and still been able to retrieve the data, to finding just an unplugged sensor when the crew was just, like I say, in full on panic mode because, oh no, it's not working, what do we do? And they go to panic stations instead of checking very elementary troubleshooting steps.
Zach?
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, you looked like I saw you nodding. You're definitely in agreement. Todd has that effect on everybody.
We used to drag Zach to a few of those races just so he could, so he would learn, because I think Zach, when you started at RacePac, I don't know that you'd come to a drag race, had you? We had to educate you on like why the big tires are on the back of the car and things like that.
Yeah. That was kind of what it was until you found out my dad was Tom Perdome. So
yeah. I sense an inside joke there. I'm just saying. Todd, who's using these 3FP sensors right now that you can share with us, if you can share with us, because that's
the Paton Racing top fuel car runs them almost exclusively.
Better.
And especially if you saw the car at Maple Grove where it had 3FP down the side, and at the SEMA show as well. No, a couple of the teams running them. Scott Palmer's team's running them. The Kalita team's running them. Clay Milliken's team is running them now. We're slowly getting people to adopt, as a sensor fails, because we can't say, hey, you know what, the 6 sensors you got on the car, I want you to pull all those off because they're in working condition and put these new ones on, unless we're going, unless somebody's trying to shave a couple of ounces here or there off the car. So it's been basically as components failure, it's an excellent opportunity to say, hey, you need to put this on so that your problems will go away. Now it's a double-edged sword for me because I make fewer sales, but it's also a happier customer. And in the end of the day, that's what we're striving for, is more reliability and a happier customer that has the money then to go on to the next races rather than continually replacing sensors every week or two.
But it is a patented technology that is cutting edge, because you can do things with it that
I was getting to that.
Yeah.
I was getting to that part. No, I paused for effect.
It was a good effect as well. So
okay, thank you. Well, it was either that or else I was going to go with my screen froze. Anyhow.
But yes, it is a patented technology that Trensor owns. There are a couple things that are different on the sensors. One of the key things is we added an atmospheric reference vent that is waterproof and dustproof membrane. So it actually prevents anything from getting into the electronics of the sensor to kill the sensor. Another thing we did is if you look at the size of the sensor, it is smaller than most of the sensors out there on the market. We built the body a little bit larger than the connector, so that way you can apply a socket directly over and screw it directly to the engine block. It should be easy to install and easy to take off if you need. It is a 22 millimeter hex with a standard 1/8 inch MPT on the end.
Excellent. Excellent. Todd, what would you say for folks out there, not necessarily, top fuel, but maybe you can kind of run up and down in that, like how many things are we keeping track of here with these sensors? Like from the guy we were talking about, like what's the basic minimum that you should be monitoring? Start there. Like what that must be monitored?
Fuel pressure, oil pressure, boost pressure, water pressure if you've got that type of a setup, transmission pressure, clutch pressure, things of that nature, all engine and driveline as you can. That's pretty much, those are the core ones that we start, and then we start looking at some additional ones. People will do secondary driveline pressures, converter charge, things of that nature. Within these pressure ranges, we see some light duty brake pressure sensors that because the max range that we have right now is the 500 PSI. So most people that are using that for stage pressures and things like that to make sure that the line lock is set correctly. That's really the gamut that we utilize these sensors for.
Well,
Great
also,
news.
Air suspension we use these sensors for. Just wanted to throw that one in there.
Yeah,
No,
we don't see that much in drag racing. So
final thought, guys, give that action step. I see Francisque, I see Judy.
Well,
For the people that are interested, where and how?
So we will be attending PRI, as like Kris mentioned. We're going to be in booth 3142. So hopefully everybody can stop by, see us, say hi, talk a little bit more on our sensors. And we're looking forward to meeting everybody, meeting new faces, and meeting key people as well, key contacts and customers that we already have. We would like to, keep the conversations going and keep improving on our product.
Excellent, gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Zach, for organizing everything here. Thank you, Kris. Thank you, Todd, for being part of this session. We're really very much looking forward to have you on. And next Race Industry Week is, as we mentioned many times during the last 2 days, it's all about energizing the industry and connecting all these suppliers with all those series organizers. And so it's great to have you on, talk about, what you guys bring to the market and all those new sensors, those new technology, and how much it helps drag racing right now.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.